What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Torque.
My name is Edge.
And we are the Platinum Podcast. We are just a couple of common guys talking about wrestling. There's nothing really special about us other than that we know our shit. But you should listen anyway. Hope you're intrigued by that intro. That was beautiful, not gonna lie. Anyway.
And I'm gonna sound like I'm speaking through, like I have glass in my throat because I'm sick.
Because he literally ate glass. He's actually a circus performer now.
The joys of moving and experiencing all the new germs that come with that.
Oh, man. Anyway, last podcast, we kind of ended on a shitty note. I kind of surprised Luke with the question of our favorite wrestler. So we're going to redo that. Edge, what is your favorite wrestler?
Okay,
Who is your favorite wrestler?
So first, last week I had some morbid picks. I had, as my top three, I had Kurt Angle, who's wrestling with TNA, which is a shitty promotion, and he's not even going to be wrestling there for very much longer. I had Chris Benoit, who's dead and allegedly a murderer. And then I have CM Punk, who, spoiler, he's not going anywhere, but the other two are going somewhere. And then I had my current favorite as Cesaro, the guy who had a match with Kevin Owens and has since not done anything because Vince thoroughly hates him. So, my revised picks, now that I've had a week to think about it, is Shawn Michaels, who has probably one of the most ironic titles of Mr. WrestleMania and only having 2 wins at WrestleMania, to my knowledge.
Yeah,
then we have Edge.
He has the worst record.
Yeah, then we have Edge, a gigantic surprise with that one.
Yeah.
And CM Punk. And then my current favorite wrestler is one that I actually want to see what you think it is before I say it, because I don't know if you'll actually see it coming.
Your current favorite wrestler? Oh, okay. Let's see. Edge, favorite wrestler. Is he on the main roster?
Yes, they are on the main roster.
Okay, and then I'm hearing a bit of an echo, just by the way.
Okay.
Main roster. I'd have to say. Oh, jeez, I don't even know. Is it a woman or a guy?
It is a woman.
Okay, Sasha Banks.
God damn it.
Yeah, that gave it away.
No, yeah, it was like, I hope that Sasha Banks becomes the next WWE Women's Champion because they need to ditch that goddamn butterfly belt.
Dude, it looks like a tramp stamp, like some college girl got on like some drunken night. You know,
it totally does.
It's terrible. It's absolutely horrid. Anyway, and then I'm gonna go with my picks before you continue on.
Yes.
My favorite wrestler of all time would have to be Eddie Guerrero. I can't help it, man. He's so awesome.
Frog Splash.
Yeah, and then I'd have to say my current favorite wrestler is Kevin Owens.
Uh-huh.
And then women's wrestler is Becky Lynch, of course.
Yeah, we kind of went over our history with Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks on the previous podcast. Go watch that if you want to hear the story on that.
Oh, what a great story. Anyway, let's get to the first question then.
So, I'm going to first, as a build-up to this, take you back to February of this year in what is called WWE Fastlane. We're probably one of the most awkward storylines ever conceived because it seems like it came right out of a 1980s cartoon. We had Cena versus Rusev for the United States Championship, and ultimately, Cena won the championship at WrestleMania. He did not win it at Fastlane, but the storyline started at Fastlane, and it was awful from the very beginning because it was just the tried and sorry U.S. versus Russia storyline that we've seen 3,000 times. Triple H and Vladimir Kozlov did it. It wasn't cool then. It's still not cool now. But nonetheless, Cena has held that U.S. title all the way up until the current month of October, so almost an entire year later. So now the question is, who do we think is going to take the title off of him? Because we know that Cena is taking time off in the later parts of this year. So who do we think he's going to drop the title to?
Well, I'm hoping it'll be at an open challenge.
It will probably be at an open challenge, and I feel that would be smart because that would validate the open challenge as not just Cena burying everybody.
I'm going to give kind of two predictions here, like who do I want to take it and who will probably most likely take it.
Okay.
Who I want to take it is Cesaro, because he
Yeah.
absolutely deserves it. But based on how much Vince hates him for unknown reasons, I don't know. More than likely he won't, because Cesaro already came out and tried.
He's also been U.S. champ before, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he has. But still, Cesaro deserves a push, nevertheless. Now, who will probably take it off of him? That's kind of in the air. Oh, that's a tough one.
Because coming off of, what was it, Battleground, I think it was, I would have said it would be Kevin Owens, hands down, without a shadow of a doubt, but now he's the IC champion. So, now it's not as certain
Yeah.
who I think should take it off is obviously there's Cesaro there. There's a little honorable mention to Dolph Ziggler just to get him out of that awful, awful feud that he's in right now. But I thought of someone who could use it, and it would not only sort of justify his character, but also appease Vince because he loves this guy to death. What if Roman Reigns won it?
That wouldn't be too bad. I mean, that would give him a championship that's actually worth something that he did on his own. And he has been built they tried building him as the guy next to Brock Lesnar, so he is able to compete with Cena and kick out of every finisher that's thrown at him. So, I mean, that's totally possible. However, I don't think so because I don't know. Him and Bray Wyatt have been going on for just too long. I don't even know where they're gonna go from that. And I'm gonna say it right now. Bray Wyatt better win. If you support Roman Reigns in this feud, you should not. Just not. Don't.
Okay, well, here's another perspective angle to look at it is who could win the U.S. title. What if one of the New Day won it? Like, think about it. They lose the tag team titles to the Dudleys because we know that's going to happen inevitably. They can only win by DQ so much. And then say one of the three members of the New Day, probably Big E, because he's the only one who you could really believe going up against Cena, taking the U.S. title off of it.
Yes, but they already did that though with some open challenges. They already had Xavier Woods and Big E, and I don't know about Kofi compete against him.
Of course, hey, that would be kind of an interesting send-off to Cena if he's going to take time off. They kind of leave this open-ended feud where the New Day just absolutely wrecks him, takes the title off of him, Cena goes away, and then he comes back. That totally sounds like something WWE would do, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Doesn't mean I like it. Someone I totally think could have a chance is Neville.
Neville. Shit, how did I forget about Neville?
Let me explain.
Neville needs that thing. He needs that belt.
Oh, he needs it, definitely. And he's not really in a feud right now. Like, he ended with Stardust, and he's kind of been going against Barrett and Sheamus, but Sheamus can't create a good feud for the life of him. Anyway, the reason I think Neville has the better chance of winning it is because Cena never beat him when Neville came out for the Open Challenge, like, way earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Neville hit the Red Arrow and landed on Cena, and pinned him 1-2, and then I think it was Kevin Owens that interrupted him, because that was way back then.
And, that was around Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, and it ended in DQ. So, I think that Neville has a good chance because he's never beaten Neville.
In fact,
Neville has never beaten him.
In fact, that being said, if Neville were to win the title, he's the kind of guy who I feel they should just put the U.S. title on him for a year and just leave it there.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like, just because he already is the longest reigning NXT champion.
Keep talking.
So him moving up to the main roster devastating finisher that theoretically could put anyone away. If they put the U.S. title on him and just have him run with it for a year, it'll validate him for a while. In fact, that'll validate him enough that I could see him winning the Royal Rumble in 2017.
Oh man, Neville winning the Royal Rumble. What a great thing that would be.
But yeah, so are we kind of in agreement that it should either be Cesaro or Neville?
I think it should be Cesaro or Neville.
Yeah.
I also wanted Ziggler, but he already came out and had his chance, and Cena no-selled a finisher once again and beat him.
Yeah, it's just... Cena, I'm just like... I can't believe just how much he used to look really cool, and now he's really, really old and really, really boring.
Yeah, he is, and I respect the hell out of him, but, like, everyone totally gets it when you do a finisher and someone kicks out. I mean, it's happened before, but it should be like a tired kick out, like you just barely get your shoulder up, not a full-on push him away kick out. I mean, plus he's doing this every, like, Monday he gets a finisher on him and it just does nothing. It's like throwing a pebble at him. It's stupid. Stupid.
Yeah, Cena can kind of be blamed for the whole, like, finishers are meaningless now because he does 28 AAs in every match.
He does, and it's pathetic. And a springboard stunner, which should be a finisher.
Yeah, and it's... In all honesty, he shouldn't even do a springboard stunner because not only is it incredibly dangerous, it also is very hard to do. And Cena's just... He got injured from doing a sunset flip. If it's that bad, then he shouldn't be doing a springboard stunner.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree.
Well, hey,
Cena.
Speaking of protected finishers, we both watched NXT this week, right?
Yes, we did.
And we saw the Battle Royale for the number one contendership for the NXT Championship.
Yes, we did. And it is Apollo Crews.
Apollo Crews. And who would have thought that a standing moonsault could be such a devastating finisher? I mean, Rob Van Dam did it for years, and it was never that cool. Now suddenly it's the greatest thing ever. But let me just say something about this NXT episode. It's like, here's where NXT is at. It no longer has Kevin Owens, Neville, Sami Zayn is injured, Hideo Itami is injured, Sasha Banks is gone, Becky Lynch is gone, Charlotte is gone. And they still manage to make main eventers of guys who are just having a little bit of steam. Like, who would have thought Alexa Bliss would come out of nowhere and become the next person that Bayley is going to face for that title?
Yes, and, like, I don't think Apollo Crews or Alexa Bliss will win, but I think we both know, because all NXT champions, plus women's champion, have had, like, a long title reign. A pretty good title reign. And
well, with the exception of Sami Zayn, but
I mean, he got injured. That's the exception.
Yeah.
But I think these are great opponents for first off for both of them. I mean, Apollo Crews, he's just new, because I didn't want Samoa Joe to win. I love Samoa Joe, but I didn't want him to win because he can take the title off of Finn Balor, and it would just be really quick.
And he kind of has a storied history when it comes to wrestling as it stands. So him coming into this, what is supposed to be a developmental system, just showing up and taking the title would be kind of weird. I feel like Samoa Joe will move up to the main roster without holding the NXT Championship.
He totally could.
I don't doubt that.
I don't doubt it either. I mean, and then I think Apollo Crews is a great first opponent. He's new, but he has a lot of steam, and he impresses the audience.
Which, here's the question that I'm going to ask about that. We have a heel versus face situation with Bayley and Alexa Bliss. Do you think that Finn Balor will turn heel when he's facing Apollo Crews?
I don't think so. I mean, I can't... I mean, I can see Finn Balor turning heel, but I feel like it's just too soon. Like, he just won it as a face, you know? I mean, this could just be a face versus face match, and it'll just be a great match.
Yeah.
But I don't see a face during heel. I mean, I can see Samoa. It looks like Samoa Joe is gonna turn heel after
Yeah, and
being
he
pissed
could
off.
probably do it believably as well.
Because he's gonna eventually he's just gonna become pissed off that he's winning all these matches, he's doing this, he's doing that, and he still doesn't have a title shot, you know, and he's eventually just gonna get pissed and become a heel.
Yeah, and also he got screwed out of the Battle Royale by Tyler Breeze, which apparently he's going to do a feud with Tyler Breeze, which could be good. Tyler Breeze is kind of in an awkward situation where he has the ability, he just isn't there. I don't really know how else to describe it. He's just not there yet.
I understand what you're saying. It's just this selfie thing was pretty clever. Like, oh, it's a new pop culture thing, you know, Prince pretty, but like it's a little too much for me, you know?
Yeah.
Like his pants, I can't. His pants.
Yeah, with the little fuzzy things on the bottom.
Yeah. I mean, he could never go up to the main roster and be able to main event a pay-per-view.
No, there's no way he could.
I mean, he has the talent to do it, but he does not have the gimmick.
Mm-hmm. I feel like he'll have to do a slight change of character, kind of like what Bayley or Emma did, if he wants to proceed forward.
Yeah, and I think he should, because he totally should move forward.
Yeah, because he's like, it was really odd because he's just kind of become a high-class jobber, and it's bad that that is the case because he's still in NXT. Like, he wanted to face real opponents, and I use air quotes for that, and he lost to Jushin Thunder Liger. Then he lost to Apollo Crews, and odds are he's probably going to lose to, what's his name, Samoa Joe as well.
Yeah, more than likely. But let's get back on topic. Apollo Crews won. Now, I don't know where I was going with that.
I was sure that Baron Corbin was going to win, and I'm actually surprised that he didn't.
I'm actually surprised that he threw out Rhino as soon as he did.
Well, that's kind of Royal Rumble Battle Royale booking 101. Heels turn on each other.
I totally understand it, don't get me wrong, but it seemed like a little too early to do it for him. I mean, there was still like 8 opponents in the ring, you know?
Yeah. Well, to be fair, at the Royal Rumble in 2010, Shawn Michaels eliminated Triple H at like entry number 20 or something like that.
Yeah, I guess he was just trying to catch him off guard.
Which that Royal Rumble was great. We'll talk about that another day, though. So, Apollo Crews wins it or doesn't win it?
He won't win it. I think it'll be a great match, though. They're going to try to put hope in that Apollo Crews will win, but he's just too new. I mean, maybe if he's been in the NXT roster for a little longer, then maybe I would have some hope for him to win. But he's just too new, and plus it's going to be like Finn Balor's first title defense that's not a rematch, you know?
Yeah. Which, speaking of that, I really did, I like how they're booking this Bayley as champion thing, because this was kind of how I felt it should have gone with Daniel Bryan when he won the title, where it's like, you have the underdog, they beat the odds, now they're on top of the world. You can't have them continue being an underdog. They have to be the superhero. They have to be Superman or Superwoman from then on out, because they are the face. Like, they were the underdogs and they beat the odds. So I'm liking that Bayley is being booked as, on top of the mountain now. She's not they didn't put her against Nia Jax where she's instantly the underdog or something like that. No, Bayley they're booking her as a very talented person, a very talented wrestler, which is exactly where they should go with this. And I feel that helps Alexa Bliss as well. So the next question, Alexa Bliss wins it or doesn't?
Alexa Bliss probably won't win it, but I feel she will. I'm hoping that she'll come close and ditch Blake and Murphy and become her own wrestler.
Maybe. I mean, they kind of just work. Like, that's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
Alexa Bliss turning heel was solely because she needed to use Blake and Murphy. So,
Okay.
I see that trio going far, actually.
Alright, fair enough. I haven't seen enough of Blake and Murphy, I guess.
They're definitely not the strong part of the trio.
Yeah. But anyway, let's real quick. I want to talk about Nia Jax debuting.
Yeah.
Um,
Not what I was expecting. Not at
no,
all.
no one was expecting that. However, she looks scary, which is good. Like intimidation factor. It's gonna be
Yeah.
kind of like Braun Strowman, like they're just scary and it's hard to beat them.
But this
But
is the thing, like, since we're doing the comparison to Braun Strowman, is that I feel Braun Strowman has the look. He may not have the voice because he doesn't, like, he usually just lets Bray Wyatt do the talking. I don't know if Nia Jax has a look. Like, that could just be me, but I don't know. I just look at her and I am like, I don't see it.
I don't think she has a look yet. See, she could. I think what's really throwing us off is this whole ice skater Blades of Glory outfit she was wearing.
Yeah,
That
she needs to ditch that
like
ASAP.
I don't know where someone thought that was a good idea first off. Like usually I understand, oh, it's like their first outfit, whatever, they'll change, but like this was a terrible idea.
Yeah.
There's no point you should have gone, oh, this looks good. Like, that shouldn't have happened.
But she totally looks like an ice skater. She totally does.
And it's weird and awkward for everyone.
It's very, very weird. Okay, so we both think that both Apollo Crews and Alexa Bliss are not winning the titles, but they are definitely going to get some momentum based on what they're doing. So there's the question out of the way. Let's move to some controversy, because everyone loves controversy. And we talked about this the other day, and you brought up a very interesting point that debunks this entire thing. The fact that the Four Horsewomen are not in 2K16.
Exactly. Now, I saw Adam from What Culture do an interview with someone who's working with 2K16, and he brought up the question of why aren't the Four Horsewomen in 2K16? And he gave a good response, like they weren't on the main roster in time. It takes a long time to develop each character. But however, Finn Balor's not on the main roster at all, and yet he's in the game.
Yeah. Or it's like Kevin Owens debuted maybe a few weeks before they did. Like, he debuted at Battleground, which was shortly after Elimination Chamber, right? Or was it Payback? Anyways, he debuted not too long before the Four Horsewomen, and he's in the game.
Yeah, I know. So and I don't even think Eva Marie was on the NXT roster.
She wasn't even wrestling.
Like, she wasn't even wrestling, and yet she's on the game.
Yeah, like, keep in mind, Eva Marie came back to wrestle, like, around SummerSlam, which was after the Four Horsewomen debuted or Charlotte, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks. Bayley didn't debut, but those three had debuted, and they're not in the game, but Eva Marie is.
So, I mean, there's something there. There's something, I don't know. I don't know if it's Vince. I don't know if it's some game developer, but they have something against the Four Horsewomen. Clearly, I mean, there's no reason they shouldn't be in the game whatsoever. So, I mean, there's something there.
Well, they're like the women's clique. It's like nobody liked, like backstage, nobody liked Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Triple H, and Shawn Michaels because they were the clique. Those guys were the cool guys running around in their group of four. And eventually they added X-Pac, which was X-Pac. Anyways, they probably don't like the Four Horsewomen just because they challenge what women's wrestling is perceived to be.
And rightfully so.
Yeah. Of course, even on just like a game development standpoint, the divas in 2K14 and 2K15 as well, they didn't have, like, women-specific moves. They just gave them the superstars moves and made them look like women. Like, it's not as difficult as it sounds.
It's lazily done. I mean, nobody takes the women's division seriously. We all know that, but now it should be, but now it's being fucked up as well. Like, the Charlotte, Sasha, and Becky Lynch came on to the main roster now and had this so much momentum, and then they just kind of killed it. Like, now there's drama with Natalya. That's stupid.
They had Paige turn heel, which was kind of neat at first, but now it's kind of like they're not going anywhere with it.
Well, I don't know if... I don't think we know if she's heel or not. Like, I don't know if that's been decided. Like, it's weird, and it's stupid, and I don't like the storyline. I mean, I think Natalya should have came back, because I do like Natalya. I mean, she's not as good as some of the other wrestlers, but she is good and can put on a good match. But she's just kind of brought into this bullshit storyline.
Yeah, I think it was last week where I said that she's kind of caught in the middle between old school women's wrestling and new school women's wrestling.
I mean, here's one of the big things. It used to be, it still is. I mean, it was, back when there's like bra and panties matches and they wore white t-shirts and had water balloon things thrown at them. Anyway, Vince would basically say, "Oh, here's women. This is like, look at them. Look how big their tits are. Here's the women to entertain you in like a Playboy fashion."
Now, well, what was it? He had Trish Stratus bark like a dog for him on live TV.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that some other time. But anyway, he basically says, "Here's the women in a Playboy fashion." But now the four horsewomen specifically, plus Paige, have come out and said, "No, let's make this actual wrestling. Let's make women's wrestling something people respect, and it's no longer a bathroom break." And I think that was the same with AJ Lee. She just was like the only person along with Paige to do it. I mean, so
yeah, it's like we took AJ Lee more seriously than the WWE did. That's the problem.
But basically, Vince would put out people's like, "Hey, it's almost Playboy porn," and now these women are trying to come up and say, "Oh no, let's respect it," and they're going, "Okay, let's do this, let's give this a shot," but then Vince is just, "Here's the women in a Playboy fashion."
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's so horrid. I mean, I feel bad for Sasha, Becky, and Charlotte. I honestly think they should drop a pipe bomb, personally, and go, be a wrestler on NXT. I'd rather them be on NXT right now, to be honest.
Yeah, and then to those people out there who say, "Well, it has to be getting somewhere," they gave Charlotte the Divas Championship. That's true, yes, but the problem is that Charlotte is not being treated as Charlotte. She's being treated as Ric Flair's daughter. Whereas in NXT, she was like the Brock Lesnar of the women's division. Now she's like, yep, she's Ric Flair's little girl. Yay! And then Sasha Banks has faded into the third member of a very bad team, no pun intended. And then Becky Lynch has also faded into obscurity because they put her alongside Charlotte and Paige.
And I'm going to say this right now. I mean, these women have it hard as well because, I mean, if you look at the superstars, I mean, there's a bunch of superstars that have, like, talent and are respected, like Ziggler, Cena, Cesaro, Neville, Brock Lesnar. Those people are respected, and there's a bunch of them. But in the women's division, there's the four horsewomen, Paige and Natalya. I mean, that's 5 out of probably, like, the 10 women there are that are respected, because Nikki Bella and Brie Bella have no talent and can barely wrestle. I mean, Alicia Fox is a wrestler apparently.
Yeah, she's still wrestling.
Naomi is okay, but she doesn't deserve to be in the WWE. She should still be in like Ring of Honor or something. And then Tamina, does she do anything? Like,
No, Tamina doesn't really do anything.
and then Tamina doesn't do anything.
Yeah, this is the thing that I don't understand about Vince McMahon is that he's a guy who very much has to compensate for himself. Like, he has to feel good about himself all the time. So it doesn't make any sense that when people say, hey, TNA has better women's wrestling than the WWE does, which is kind of true. I mean, they take their women more seriously. They don't call them divas. And Vince, instead of saying, well, I'm not going to be outdone by these little guys, I'm gonna beat them in the ass, I'm going to do it better than them. No, he just kind of is like, nah, the women can be in their corner with their tramp stamp title.
And it's bullshit because, I mean, the Four Horsewomen and Paige, damn, I hate saying that, and Paige.
Yeah.
But these women have been, like, thinking of being a wrestler for years, since they were 10, you know? And then there's people like the Bellas who were supermodels and wanted to be actors, and then were just brought in to be a wrestler. Now people respect them and la-da-da. Same with Eva Marie. She had no wrestling experience. Same with Alicia Fox, I'm sure.
Alicia Fox had some wrestling experience. Like,
and yet she's worse than the Bellas.
She has, like, wrestling experience. She just doesn't really have... She doesn't have the backing with the bookers. That's the problem.
I mean, I don't get it, you know? I mean, there's still... I think one of the big reasons Vince McMahon is still pushing Nikki and Brie, Alicia, and all those people that shouldn't even be in the WWE is because there are supporters of them for no reason.
There are a few people who are like, Team Bella, blah, when there's no reason they should be.
I mean, Team Bella is those... They are the high school popular girls that look down on people like, I would say, me and Edge ourselves, and would say, oh, look at them, they're losers, don't talk to them, maybe they should just go kill themselves.
And then they don't even do it in a convincing fashion. Like, I remember, I didn't watch Raw this week. I just watched the highlights because I don't have access to a television on Monday night. And you send me a text, you're like, hey, did you see that awful Brie Bella trying to start a "We Want Sasha" chant? And I'm like, you mean Naomi? And you're like, no, I mean Brie Bella. And I think, why is Brie Bella trying to start a "We Want Sasha" chant? It doesn't make any sense. So, naturally, look it up on YouTube, and she can't even do a chant right. Like, hell, there are chunky 400-pounders in the audience who can do chants better than Brie Bella. That is what is very concerning to me.
I mean, there were 3 simple words, and it still sounded awful. I mean, if we want a change in the women's division, the entire audience has to show it. Like, there has to be stop supporting people like the Bellas who just kind of get things handed to them. That has to stop, and there has to be more love for, like, the Four Horsewomen and Paige. Now, I'm going to argue real quick. Like, some people say, oh, Charlotte's been given everything. She's Ric Flair's daughter. Maybe. I can't argue that. You know, I mean, she's Ric Flair's daughter, so naturally she would probably be in the WWE. But you see, she is talented, and you can see it in the ring, and you can see it in her matches, just how, like, phenomenal she can be, you know?
And, like, that's the thing about people like Charlotte or Seth Rollins or Sasha Banks, is that they didn't just, like, start out in NXT, even though they say that that's, like, the first time they were with the WWE. Before that, they were in FCW, which FCW was barely a developmental program. It was kind of like they had a television show in Florida that barely seated a room of 40 people. And that was where they were preparing their superstars for the big times. And so then they rebranded it into NXT. So those people who say that Charlotte hasn't done anything to deserve where she is, she's been here for like 5 years. And 3 of them was spent with awful awful FCW.
And yet she's made it out, so, like, arguing that she's been handed everything isn't an argument.
Now, I wish they would actually treat her like a champion instead of just as Ric Flair's daughter, but we kind of talked about that earlier.
Well, anyway, I think that does it for the rant. I think...
Yeah, the rant.
You know what we need to do? We need to start some Instagram places and post things about this and have people join us.
Just like, here's the rant. The Bellas, they're awful. Yeah.
Like, we need... Not, like, the Bellas... I'm sorry, but the Bellas are a joke to this.
They totally are.
It's a fucking joke, and I hate it.
Which, speaking of jokes, this is the next question I'm going to ask you. I'm very proud of because it just kind of came to me. I'm like, wow, this is a great idea. Which segment of wrestling this week do you feel deserves a CM Punk chant? Because it's just so bad that we're going to chant for a guy who's not even wrestling. He's in the UFC. That we want him to come back so badly that we're going to chant because this is terrible. Which segment would you say deserves a CM Punk chant?
The Rusev and Summer Rae / Ziggler and Summer Rae.
Yeah, and I kind of figured that we would both say that, so I'm going to say another one as well, and that is the Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns feud, because not only is it dragging out incredibly long, it doesn't seem to be going anywhere.
I totally agree with you. I kind of liked the feud when it started off, just because, like, I looked at Bray Wyatt feuding with Roman Reigns because this guy's just been kind of... He came back, beat the Big Show, and then main evented WrestleMania. So,
yeah.
you know, like, Bray Wyatt's like, anyone but you. Like, he hasn't really done anything.
Anyone but you, Roman. Anyone but you. Those promos, he's just talking about nonsense, and they're just great.
Still great. But anyway, I like the feud, but now it's like... This isn't going anywhere. It's been, I don't even know how long it's been. Nobody's beat each other cleanly. And Bray Wyatt better beat Roman Reigns at Hell in a Cell. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and that's the problem with this feud is that it doesn't matter who wins, it just keeps going. So it's like, you can say, oh, this is the match. Whoever wins this thing and then does stuff. But then they win or they lose, and it's like, man, whatever, we're going to keep this one going. It's like they're so phoning it in until WrestleMania. It's very sad. So those two segments totally deserve a CM Punk chant for how bad they actually are.
Absolutely. And I mean, I totally understood where they're coming from with Ziggler and, like, drama, because, you know, stealing the show and your girlfriend. You know, that made sense, but, like, one, Summer Rae isn't good. I don't know how to explain it, but, like, drama like this just shouldn't be, like, especially with Rusev.
Yeah.
It seemed weird with Rusev to do drama, and it's weird, and it's confusing, and I don't like it.
And not only that, as if the feud couldn't get any worse, TMZ had to come out and announce that Rusev and Lana are actually engaged in real life.
Which is great, happy for him, but yeah.
But it kills this feud. It kills it 100%, and if it keeps going, then shame on Vince.
Yeah, Vince is a dumbass anyway. Oh boy. Anyway, yeah, those deserve CM Punk chants and deserve to be done with.
I'm also going to throw in that every time the Bellas are on screen, there should be a CM Punk chant, a loud one that doesn't stop until they go away.
There should be. Oh my god. We need to make that a thing. We will go to every Monday Night Raw and every SmackDown until this happens.
Well, Raw is actually coming out here, first week in November, so I may just see if I can get that to happen.
Or, like, in NXT, I want them to chant for Eva Marie, "You're a joke, you're a joke, you're a joke."
Or they chanted, "I'll botch everything," because, you know, her thing is, it's like, "I'll read everything," and then the crowd is like, "I'll botch everything."
Oh, man, that's great.
It was golden.
That's fantastic. Anyway, let's move on to our next question because I can go all day about those.
So,
That.
one thing that we've kind of been holding off for a little while, it is a subject that we should talk about because it's only a week away, is our Hell in a Cell predictions. Here's my overall consensus. It's happening. That's about it.
Yeah, I mean, see, what are the matches? Let's see, pre-show we have Dean Ambrose and Randy Orton versus Braun Strowman and Luke Harper.
So garbage, it had to be on the pre-show.
Yeah, it is. And Braun Strowman and Luke Harper should win. Just because Braun Strowman has been built as someone who could take both of them on at once.
I will give some credit where credit is due in that they're actually having, like, more than one Hell in a Cell match. Because I don't know if it's been confirmed, but Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns is supposed to be a Hell in a Cell match. Seth Rollins and Kane, is supposed to be a Hell in a Cell match. And Lesnar and Taker is also supposed to be a Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah. I'm going to say Bray Wyatt better win because Roman Reigns doesn't deserve to win. Seth Rollins will obviously beat Kane.
Yeah.
I mean, if you actually... I laugh at you if you think Kane will win. Ah ha ha ha.
And even if he did, like, on the minute chance that he does, why? What is he going to do with the belt that's going to make the belts any better than what it is with Seth Rollins?
Yeah, exactly. And then Lesnar and Taker. That's a tough
I feel
one.
like we're on opposite sides of the coin here when it comes to Lesnar versus Taker. So I'm just going to ask, who are you rooting for?
See, I
Not
don't
who do you-
know. I
It's
don't
like-
know. Okay, because, Undertaker's obviously a fan favorite, But he's been the heel against Lesnar. I mean, and Lesnar's not exactly a heel anymore. I mean, he never really turned face officially, but...
He faced Roman Reigns, so that made him a face.
Yeah, that made him a face. But, I mean... if Taker wins, I want him to win cleanly. I don't want some bullshit low blow. If he low blows, which will probably happen, then I'm gonna be rooting for Brock Lesnar.
I'm rooting for Lesnar. Like, that's just because I feel that Lesnar has a little bit more longevity in his career than Taker does. Like, Taker, if you build him up as kind of this old man who's just out for payback, then you can really put him against anybody at Mania and it'll be believable. But if you build him up as this powerful guy, there's only two people that you can have him face at Mania, and we know it's not going to happen. That's Lesnar and Sting.
See, I don't know if the Taker versus Sting thing is gonna happen. Just because Sting is injured, I don't know if he'll be back in time.
Yeah.
But,
And then also, like, if those two are facing each other, then they're not making new stars with their last matches.
yeah, neither of them are.
They're just
Regardless,
kind of like,
they just need to retire.
yeah. Like, they're going to kill themselves in the ring if they don't retire soon.
And there's just so many old superstars that are taking up room on the main roster. Like the Big Show, for instance. The fact that he beat Cesaro pissed me off. I didn't like that.
Yeah. And there's Kane, who also needs to go. Taker, as much as I hate saying it, he needs to go as well, or he needs to be his WrestleMania act. Because in the time that he's been here, there have been other superstars that could have, like, main evented SummerSlam and really benefited from it. But no, it was Taker came back. And while he's a very cool character, I'm not denying that. I'm not denying where he's been or what he's done. I'm just saying that at this current moment, he's a WrestleMania act, and that's where the bar should stop.
And then Sting needs to retire.
Or he at least needs to stop taking turnbuckle power bombs and going through the announce table, because geez, is he okay?
I mean, it looks like everything that happens to him hurts him.
Yeah. Okay, but our actual predictions. Bray Wyatt, Roman Reigns. You say Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
I feel that Vince is not smart enough for that, so I'm going to say Roman Reigns. Rollins and Kane. There's no way that I can defend Kane. We're both on the same page. Rollins is going to win. And then Lesnar Taker. Who do you think?
Probably Lesnar. I mean,
Yeah, I think Lesnar as well.
yeah, I have to go with Lesnar. And then, what other matches are there? Do you know?
I would say that they're trying to build a Neville and Wade Barrett feud, at least based on Wade Barrett's commentary, but I have no idea. That could happen.
Okay. Yeah, so nothing ever has been made official yet. Alright.
Okay, so, actually, what's the Divas match supposed to be? Oh yeah, there's a rematch between Charlotte and Nikki Bella. Gee, I wonder who's gonna win that one.
And it'll be a bullshit match because Nikki cannot put on a good match for her life, even with Charlotte.
Yeah. So Charlotte's gonna keep that title, and they'll probably keep it on her for a while. I don't doubt that.
I don't doubt it either, but something better happen in the women's division.
Yeah, like they need
something.
They need to take them seriously, is what they need to do. Like, it's very funny how the things that they take seriously, we will take seriously as well.
It's
like Bayley and Sasha Banks main eventing TakeOver. It's like, hey, you took women seriously, we'll take them seriously. That was the issue with Roman Reigns when he came back, is where it's like, everybody says, oh, they were taking him seriously. They were having him face the Big Show. They were not taking him seriously. So how are we supposed to?
I mean, I'm okay if the Big Show stays, but he needs to be a jobber.
Yeah.
Like, for that. Like, a high-end jobber like Tyler Breeze is on NXT. But, like, if Roman Reigns... Like, beating the Big Show is not a big accomplishment. If you beat the Big Show and then face Brock Lesnar, that's like... I don't even know how to compare that.
Or it's like Brock Lesnar facing the Big Show at Madison Square Garden. It was like, okay, we know how this is going to end, but okay.
Yeah, that wasn't even a match.
No, it wasn't. Like,
and it was so pathetic.
The Big Show got in 3 choke slams in rapid succession.
Yeah, and it did nothing to Lesnar. But we can understand that for Lesnar because he's been built as that, whereas we cannot understand that for Cena.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, that's our predictions for Hell in a Cell. We will move into the last part of this, last segment, where we're going to ask the question that we're both going to answer, and you guys can answer as well. Favorite WrestleMania and why? And the funny thing about this is that we asked this question last night, and we didn't want to say which one it was. Or I didn't at first, because I'm like, we should save it as a surprise for the podcast. And then you're like, well, what if we have the same one? And I'm like, okay, which one is yours? And you what did you say?
I said WrestleMania 20, when Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit hugged it out after the triple threat with Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and Chris Benoit, and then Chris Benoit won in that hug. It was so emotional.
And I said, you son of a bitch, because we did pick the same one, making me look like an idiot for saying, we should save it for the podcast. And so then you asked me, okay, well, which one is my favorite then? And I'm like, well, and I couldn't decide. So I have top 3 for overall shows, and then top 2 for single moments from WrestleMania history. I want, take a guess on which WrestleManias you think are my top 3 overall shows.
Probably WrestleMania 18.
No. That's not on there.
Overall shows?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. I'm not sure then.
Taking into account 29. At WrestleMania 18 that Stone Cold faced Razor Ramon in a very underwhelming match. I had to take that into account.
Okay. Then I'm actually kind of clueless. WrestleMania 29, maybe?
Nope.
No?
Cena Rock. Hated it.
Oh, that's right. That was Cena Rock.
And then Del Rio and who was it? Jack Swagger for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Well, I was
Gross.
going for it because no, that was WrestleMania 28, maybe.
No, that was 29. 28 was Sheamus and Daniel Bryan for the World Heavyweight Championship, and then CM Punk and Chris Jericho for the WWE Championship.
Okay,
Which, oddly enough,
I was thinking of CM Punk and Undertaker.
No, that's 29. But no, my top 3. And number 3 surprised me because I was looking at the matches and I'm like, I kind of liked it. And that was WrestleMania 31.
Really?
And I'm going to let that sit in the air for a little bit because think about it. There was the ladder match for the IC title where Daniel Bryan won, so we got our yes chance in. There was John Cena and Rusev, which was garbage setup, but the kids needed a match, so that's kind of okay. Bray Wyatt and The Undertaker, very good. And then Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, while for all intents and purposes it was Vince trying to say, we love Roman Reigns, but really he kind of caved to us. Like where it didn't seem like he was going to cave with Daniel Bryan, he caved with Reigns, and Brock Lesnar handed him his ass. And then we got the cash-in. The cash-in that had all of us up on our feet like, oh my God, it's happening. So for overall shows, number 3 is WrestleMania 31 for me.
Okay. I mean, the Big Show won the Battle Royale, and Cesaro and Tyson held the
that was on the
championship.
pre-show, so who cares?
All right, fine.
Then for number 2, I actually had WrestleMania 20. Like you think, wow, why is that not number 1? And I'll get to that in a minute. Because John Cena and the Big Show, great. Great by every right of what it should be to build up a new star. Like you had Big Show, who was huge, and then John Cena, who was up and coming, and beats him in spectacular fashion. Then you had Goldberg and Brock Lesnar, which wasn't a bad match. It's just the fact that they were leaving the next night that brought it down. So probably the reason it's not number 1. Then the other reason it's not number 1 is it had Undertaker and Kane, round 2, which was just awful. Then the easy ones, Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle. He pulled off the boot. That's all I have to say about that.
That was pretty great.
And then Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and Chris Benoit was fantastic. But my number 1 pick, it actually surprised me a little bit because this is not a WrestleMania that I held in very high regard until I really went back and thought about it. And that is WrestleMania 21. It held the first Money in the Bank ladder match. Its opening show was Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio. Undertaker faced Randy Orton, who at the time was the Legend Killer coming off of his World Heavyweight Championship reign. It had Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels, which was another fantastic example of creating new stars. There was John Cena and JBL, where you had to root for John Cena because he was cool back then, and it was his first WWE title reign. And then it had Triple H and Batista in the main event for the World Heavyweight Championship, and it was Triple H not burying someone. So there's props in that.
Oh boy, that's actually a good set. And then your top 2 moments.
Top 2 moments, I don't really like. I'm not going to do a countdown for it because they're both. I hold them in equal regard. The easy one, WrestleMania 30. Daniel Bryan overcoming the Authority, and WrestleMania becoming Yeselmania.
Yeah.
Like that. I loved it. I did. It was like that WrestleMania, just based on the 2 matches that Daniel Bryan had, will hold up for a while just because of that. Because it was the ultimate underdog story.
And I should actually say, that was the first WrestleMania I've ever watched. And I knew very little of backstory of anything, yet I was still up out of my seat chanting yes.
Yeah, it was great. You didn't have to watch.
Great. I had heartfelt.
It's like you didn't have to know what was going on to get into it, and that's why it's so great. And then I also put in a footnote the end of the streak, because may the streak rest in peace.
Yeah, I mean, that's an easy one.
And then my second one, in what almost became one of my best overall shows, but then I realized that the WWE title match was John Cena and Batista when they were both well past their time. It is the end of Shawn Michaels' career.
Oh.
And also, probably, Michaels said to Taker, hey, this is the last tombstone I'm ever going to take, so make it the best tombstone you've ever given. And holy shit, if Taker had messed that up at all, like had any minor mistake, Shawn Michaels would have been paralyzed.
What happened? I forgot about it.
Remember, it was like Shawn Michaels wanted his rematch with The Undertaker.
Oh, when he went for the moonsault? Is that...
No, that was WrestleMania 25. But no, this is like where Michaels is on his knees. He does the Undertaker's taunt, the slash of the throat. And then Taker his whole face just turns red. He freaks out, picks up Michaels for the tombstone, and doesn't just like sit down on his knees where he normally does. He jumps and lands with Michaels' head and his knees straight onto the mat. And that was the end of the match. It was the end of WrestleMania 26 as well.
Oh man, that's tense. I didn't watch that one. I need to go back and watch that.
Because watching the end of that, it's like, on one hand, you're like, I don't want Shawn Michaels' career to be over. But on the other hand, I don't want the streak to end either.
Yeah, no, that was definitely a match where everything was on the line. Like, you either have a great person retire, or you have this great thing end, only to be ended a couple years later. Anyway.
Yeah, but that's besides the point.
Well,
but yeah, there we go. That's my WrestleMania moments. I'm going to put an honorable mention in for Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart at WrestleMania 12, because the boyhood dream has come true.
Oh, man. All right, well, I think that's it, correct?
Yeah. So the question would be what is your favorite WrestleMania? Feel free to let us know.
Leave it in the comments. Tell us what you liked and didn't like about this podcast. And if you put that you like the Bellas, don't. It's as simple as that. Just don't do it.
And also just then if you like this format of us just like, hey, we have a couple of questions that we'll just kind of talk about, then let us know. But if you want a more structured feel to it, where it's like we have specific segments that we do every week, then feel free to let us know about that, because we're still kind of experimenting with how we want to do this.
Yeah, let us know what you like, what we didn't like, what you think we could do better.